Right now, while you're watching this, part of your mind is somewhere else, not distracted, not wandering, monitoring, scanning for the thing you forgot, the decision you didn't make, the message you haven't sent. And that's not an accident. That's survival. What if focus isn't something you lose? What if it's something you stop allowing yourself to have? Not because you're weak, not because you're addicted to your phone, not because you lack discipline, but because somewhere along the way your mind learned that focus is dangerous. That sounds strange. Focus is what we're told to want, to cultivate, to protect. But watch what happens when you actually try to focus on something. You sit down, you clear the space, you turn off notifications, you tell yourself, this time I'm really going to do this. And for a moment, maybe it works. But then something else arrives. Not a notification, not an interruption from the outside, a thought. I still need to respond to that email. Did I confirm that thing for tomorrow? I should probably check if they replied. And the focus doesn't break all at once. It just thins. You're still looking at the page. You're still in the chair. But part of your attention is elsewhere now. Monitoring. This is where it gets interesting, because that monitoring doesn't feel like distraction. It feels like responsibility. It feels like staying on top of things, like being aware, like not letting something slip. And maybe that's true. Maybe you do need to remember that thing. Maybe it is important. But here's what happens next. You return to the task. You try again. And the monitoring continues. Not loudly, not urgently, just present. A low hum in the background. A part of your mind that never fully disengages. Because there are things that aren't finished, decisions that aren't made, conversations that are still open. And as long as they exist, your attention has to stay partially available, just in case. Now think about what focus actually requires. Focus isn't just attention pointed at one thing. It's attention that's been fully released from everything else. It's the ability to let go, to stop monitoring, to trust that the other things will wait. But what if they won't? What if the email needs a reply today? What if the message is time sensitive? What if forgetting means consequence? Then letting go isn't safe, and the mind is very good at learning what's safe and what isn't. So it adapts. It learns to keep a thread open for each unfinished thing, a small part of attention held in reserve just in case. One thread isn't much. Two threads, still manageable. But by the time you're holding 10, 20, 50 threads, there's not much attention left to give. And focus becomes impossible. Not because you're distracted, but because your mind is doing exactly what it's been trained to do. Stay alert, stay ready, stay available. Here's the part that doesn't get talked about. The mind doesn't just monitor unfinished tasks, it monitors unfinished decisions. Should I take that project? Should I say yes to that invitation? Should I switch jobs, move cities, end the relationship, start the thing I've been thinking about for months? These aren't tasks. They're open loops. And every open loop requires attention. Because until the decision is made, the question is still live, still generating possibilities, still asking to be considered. And the mind can't fully rest while the question is open. It keeps running scenarios, weighing options, checking for new information that might change the answer. Not consciously necessarily, but constantly, and that takes energy, a lot of energy. So now imagine trying to focus while carrying all of that, all the unfinished tasks, all the unmade decisions, all the threads that are still live. Focus starts to feel like a trap, because if you focus, you stop monitoring. And if you stop monitoring, something might go wrong. So the mind learns to stay shallow, shallow enough to keep all the threads visible, shallow enough to respond quickly if something needs attention. Deep focus becomes a risk the system can't afford. And over time, the ability to focus doesn't just fade, it gets actively avoided. Not because you don't want it, but because it conflicts with survival, with staying on top of things, with being responsible, with not letting anything slip. The system adapts. And the adaptation is to never go deep. This is why removing distractions doesn't always work. You can turn off your phone, close the apps, sit in a quiet room, and the monitoring continues because the distractions aren't just external, they're structural. They're built into a life where nothing is ever truly finished, where every task connects to another task, every decision defers another decision, every response invites another response. The mind isn't struggling to focus because it's lazy. It's struggling because it's trying to manage a system that never stops asking for attention. And in that system, focus isn't difficult. It's unsafe. So maybe the question isn't how to focus better. Maybe the question is, what would have to change for focus to feel safe again? What would have to end for attention to be released? What would have to close for the mind to stop monitoring? I don't know the answer, but I think it's worth asking.